To the point, informative, entertaining, and protecting the Second Amendment. Welcome back to Elfster's Rifles and Reloading. Got a pretty special live video here for you guys, and especially for some of you guys that have been watching my channel for the last week or two. I've been uploading videos on the Supertrickler. You'll notice I don't have my Auto Trickler V3 up here anymore. I got it on the shelf. And so far, I'm pretty pleased with it. You know, I'm not going to lie, when I first got it, it was kind of overwhelming at first. It's a lot of features packed into one trickler and a lot of settings to play with. And there's two options you can go with when you get the Supertrickler. You can just let it do its thing and let AI do its work, which is artificial intelligence, and it works pretty good. I'd say for the average reloader, it actually works rather well. But if you want the utmost speed and accuracy, and I'm still testing this myself. Matter of fact, we were kind of playing with it before we went live. And it takes some tweaking. And if you're a tinker, this trickler is definitely for you. And you can fine tune right down to the bulk throw, what they consider bulk throw, the medium or fine throw, and then at the very end, a small pulse. It's really fine tune. Shut off my alarm here at the very end. And you can play around with all these numerous settings, and they just uploaded the manual to their closed group and also to their main website. You can just Google Supertrickler and it will come right up. Not hard to find. And if you're on Facebook, I highly recommend you join that Supertrickler group. There is a wealth of information on there from Peter and Rex, the developers of the Supertrickler. And, you know, they just came out. I believe the first shipments just went out this week, and they're just starting to show up for those people that actually made the purchase. As for me, I'm one of the beta testers. I've had this for 2 weeks. They sent out 8 total. I know one of them was Eric Cortina. I believe the other one was Gavin Tube. I'm not sure on the other guys. I know at least for me, Eric Cortina and Gavin Tube, we're playing around them right now. And so far, I'm pretty pleased with it. And I figured, Scott, you got a
6.5 Grendel arrow upper.
Yeah, you got a 6.5 Grendel arrow. What length is that?
18-inch.
18-inch stainless. Yep. And he's going to use it deer hunting. And we're trying to get some load development here, aren't we?
Running short on time.
Right, it's getting
pretty close here in Wisconsin.
I mean, it's freaking snowing here in Wisconsin and all things. But so what we're going to do is we're going to drop some CFE223. And mind you, like I said, we're still playing around with these settings. We're not using the AI. We're using my own personal settings. So it is what it is. But we're going to drop some different powder drop nodes here. And matter of fact, there's a setting on the Supertrickler that you can set up your own ladder. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show it to you right now. And we're going to jump right into this, enough of the babbling. And as for the Supertrickler itself, you can go into, what's kind of cool about this, go to menu, go to powder, you can go to mode, and you can set your own ladder. And you can see down here, with the EP integrations lockdown reloading block, I got this locked up and ready to go. And in this, you can see I marked every single casing. This first row of 5 is 30.2. The next one is 30.4, 30.6, 30.8, and ends up with 31.0, just like on this card. And off to the side here, I got a single fowler, so we can follow out that bore before we do our load development. You know, in all honesty, Scott, you just got this upper, didn't you?
Yeah, I just got it.
Yeah, and I always suggest not to do load development right out of the gate, especially with a more inexpensive upper firearm. You know, if it's a Bartling barrel or a Krieger barrel and it's shooting amazing out of the gate, yeah, maybe do your load development right away. But usually with those more inexpensive firearms, I usually suggest getting a solid 50 to 100 rounds on that too before you do any load development. So I'm not overly concerned about this, but I figured we'd start out somewhere, at least to show you guys how this Supertrickler works. And in this, you can see I can set up my ladder, which is really freaking awesome. I can set up the amount of steps I have. So you can see, obviously, in my lockdown block and on my card, I got 5 total steps. And in each step, I have 5 total rounds. So that's what I have loaded up on this ladder test. I got 5 total steps, 5 rounds per step. And it's going in increments of 2, and I can change this to whatever I want. If I want it 0.3, I can change that. But you can see at 0.2, 5 total steps, 5 rounds per step, it's going to start out at 30.2, and it's going to end up at 31 increments of 2. And it's really that simple. You're going to watch this here soon, and I figured I'd do this live for you guys. You can see this unedited. And like I said, I'm still playing around with this myself. I might have to tweak around with these settings as I go. But we'll see what we can come up with. So let's get going on this. I'm going to check out the chat boards here. It looks like good old Michael Hartneck is in the house saying howdy, howdy. And my good old friend Michael Dunn. I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for joining us in the Elfster's Reloading Room. And if you're out there watching, jump into the chat room and say hello. Especially if you're new to reloading. Or if you got the Supertrickler, let us know what you think. And I'm here to answer your questions as best as I possibly can. And even if it's not on dropping powder, we're here to help. But enough of the BS talk. Let's get this going. And so we already got this set up. And I can simply hit begin. And we're going to hit ladder and start. And it's going to start out at that 30.2. And like I said, I might have to tweak this out as I go. We didn't really have much time to get this going before we started, but let's see how this goes. Now, CFE223 is a very, very small spherical ball powder. It's about as small as it gets, and it gets everywhere. It can be an absolute mess. And this dropped within 9 seconds. And so you can see it's showing us on the screen here, charge 1, round 1. And so it's keeping track for me on this. And I'm looking at the written amount of powder dropped in this first round, which is 30.2. So we're going to drop this in. And this is very fine spherical powder. I'm going to make sure all of it gets in that case mouth opening. You can also see on my cup that I wrote the weight of the cup. It kind of hovers between 675.6 and 675.62. Well, if you look at the screen, it says exactly 675.62, and it kind of hovers back and forth. That's probably because it weighs 6.1. This FX120i that the Supertrickler is on has a resolution of 0.02 grains, and that's why. And I'm going to put this on here, and you're going to notice on the screen, read it. It says 0, bulk, analyzing, fine, and pulse. In 7 seconds, just like that, it just dropped that charge. You can also see it's still keeping track. Charge 1, round 2. I'm going to try my best to do this with a camera in front of me. See if I can get you to see the screen a little bit better. Not bump this reloading bench. That dropped in 8 seconds. Now keep in mind the on-screen timer does take into account that it zeroes out the pan every time I put this pan down. And it's actually a good feature, the fact that this zeroes out the pan every time I put it down. Unlike other tricklers, it typically doesn't zero out the pan. You got to manually zero it out if you want it zeroed out. And the Supertrickler will zero it out for you. And that just dropped that one in 5 seconds. So still at 30.2. You can still see on the screen, it's still reading that. And it's probably going to always read that because it zeroes out the pan literally every time I drop a charge. You can see it'll say 0, bulk. I'm going to go over these settings once we drop all this powder. And now it's pulsing. So 9 seconds there. Now that should be the end of this round. We're going to move on to the next one, which should be 30.4. This should automatically switch over. You can see it just switched from 30.2 to 30.4. And that's a huge time savings, you know. It's something you don't have to keep on screwing around and, you know, twisting in and out plungers and diving into the menu and, you know, reconfiguring 0.2 every time you want to readjust this. Now keep in mind, this did just overthrow. So I'm just gonna throw this up at the top here, just start over. But it being that I'm kind of glad it overthrew like this, to give you an example, it's still gonna stay on the second round. It's not gonna go to the third. It recognizes the fact, and I gotta make sure I don't breathe and talk on the scale because it is that sensitive. 7 seconds there. It kept track that it overthrew that charge. And you're going to see it says charge 2 round 2 right here. It's going to now go to round 3. So that's nice, the fact that it keeps track of that for you. So looks like Tim Felty is jumping in here. He says he put a deposit on, I can't wait for. Thanks for the info you are sharing. You are more than welcome, my friend. Looks like that dropped in 8 seconds there. And this is dropping within the resolution of the FX120i of plus or minus 0.02 grains, which, you know, for pure example's sake, say like you're dropping H4350, which is a large stick powder, damn near 1 literal piece spec of H4350 is damn near the resolution of the scale. Now this does show that it overthrew, but literally it overthrew by 0.02. It's a pretty minuscule amount. Matter of fact, if that was the case with a Charge Master, you never would have known that, because this has a much higher resolution compared to something like a Charge Master off to the side here that I started with back in the day. So. And this is, you know, you can kind of tweak this thing as you go. And it looks like good old Romeo 66 in the house. He says, how do you get excess powder out of the tube when finished? And actually, I'm going to show that to you guys when I'm done. When I get done dropping all this powder, I'm actually going to go into the settings, at least show you the settings I'm currently using. I'm still kind of tweaking those out, so keep that in mind. And then I'm going to actually dump the powder out and show you how that works. And it's really, really, really easy. All right, so we're done with 30.4. So this should switch over to 30.6 for our ladder tests as we're playing around with the barrel harmonics. And if you're new to reloading and you haven't dropped different powder rates like this, that's what we're doing. Matter of fact, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to put this back on just to show that it repeats the accuracy of 0.02. And we're at 30.6. I'm verifying that on my casing. That is what I'm dropping. All right, 7.2 seconds. All right, so this should show charge 3, round 3, Wish this focused in a little bit better during live events. It's about as good as it's going to get. So this did overthrow on this one by literally, it would accept anything from 0.02 above and below 30.6. Matter of fact, you can see if I let it sit there hover along, it actually dips down to 62. We're talking a very minuscule amount of overthrow here of 0.02. Matter of fact, you can see it's hovering back and forth, which, you know, be honest with you, I wouldn't mind dropping that one bit. Like I said, we're dropping within the resolution of 0.02 grains. All right, so 8 seconds. Now I have a single Fowler shot over here at 30.6. I'll have to come back and pick that up later. Being I got this set at the ladder preset. I can't really drop 6. It's going to drop 5 and move on to the next part of the ladder. Now, if you want, you could get a second pan. You know what's amazing about getting a second pan? If you want to speed up the process, is you don't have to worry about making sure the pans weigh the same. You got to remember, with this particular trickler, it's zeroing out the pan every time I put it down. So if you want to get a second pan and speed up the process, so it's literally dropping powder while I'm doing this very movement right now, you can do that. Before, to do that, you had to make sure the pans weighed the exact same amount. In this situation, being the fact that this zeroes out on the pan every single time, you don't have to worry about that. But we just dropped the 30.6. It's still at 30.6. Now it should switch over to the 30.8, which it did. And it's keeping track here. Try my best not to breathe on this thing. It's that sensitive. But it's charge 4 round 1. Within 0.02 plus or minus of the target, 30.8. And you can see that I got my cases here locked in the EP Integrations lockdown reloading block. It's a completely adjustable reloading tray, just under 223 and just over 375 shy tack, and it adjusts in seconds. As a matter of fact, I will show that to you guys at the very end here. And we sell this on our website, www.epintegrations.com, for $99 for the standard stainless. But with that being said, and some of you guys don't know, we're kind of springing something new on you guys, this is anodized. We haven't sold any anodized lockdown reloading blocks yet. This is the very first one. You're seeing it for the first time. And I believe, what are we selling this for, Scott? I think full price was $130.
$139. I think we'll probably do a little sale to get them going.
Yeah. So I got that card on the bench over there if you want to snag it. And not only that, with the anodized, but we are getting some Cerakote ones that are red, white, and blue. Top plate's red, the middle plate's white, and the bottom plate's blue, and it should be pretty awesome. Once again, this just overdropped by, missed this target by 0.02 grains. If that was a Charge Master, you would never even know that. That overdropped again. If I want, I can play around with these settings. If I feel like it's overdropping too much, I can tweak out how much it drops, and that literally dropped in 3.5 seconds, which is blazing fast. So what do you got there, my friend?
Looks like we're gonna do a sale price of $119 on the anodized.
So we're gonna have a sale price for $119. It should be up on the website here soon. And then we're going to have the Cerakoted red, white, and blue, and those should be up here soon. What are you guessing on that? Probably a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And what price have we got on those?
Retail will be $149.
Okay.
We'll probably do a sale on those when they come out for $129.
All right. So that dropped in 4.4 seconds. So just blazing fast. You know, and that's kind of the name of the game. It's like, you know, do you want the speed and don't mind a couple overthrows here and there? Or do you want a blend of speed and consistency? Everyone always says, how is it more accurate than the auto trickler? Well, they're exactly the same accuracy because they use the same scale. They both use the FX120i. They both drop within 0.02 grains of resolution. Now I'm on my last set of the ladder here, which is 31. You can see it automatically switched over, which is nice. It's keeping track of it for me. It's just one less thing that I got to worry about in the reloading room. And it seems like, I think these have been dropping roughly between 3 and 8 seconds, I'd say, roughly what's reading on the screen.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, 7.3 seconds, at least what's shown on the screen, was zeroing out the pan. And if you want, you can turn that feature off. You don't want it to zero out on the pan, you don't have to. And that dropped in 1.6 seconds. Oh my gosh, it's insane. You know, there is some logic to the fact is some will purposely drop super fast and don't mind a couple overthrows, because if you're dropping literally within 4 to 7 seconds and don't mind an overthrow once in a while, well, heck, if I drop, say, you know, if I can shave off 6 seconds per drop and don't mind an overdrop here and there, well, heck, if you drop 100 of them, that's 600 seconds. That's a ton of time that you're saving. And if you don't mind a few extra overdrops here and there, you can play that game. Or if you don't want to play that game, you can do a blend of speed and consistency. And just like that, we're down to the very last one, and it still shows 31 on the screen. And we're just making our way through this ladder drop of CF223. So that just overdropped by 0.02 grains. Just barely missed it. And I'm going to show you here once I finish up what you can do to play around that if you don't want it to drop so fast. So 8 seconds there. So this is our last one. Okay, so I'm going to should automatically stop the ladder now. So you can see I went back to auto. The ladder shut off. I can put this back on. It's not going to start up because I'm done with my ladder now. And I still have this one follower, remember that. And that was 30.6. So I'm just going to touch the screen here, 30.6, okay. If I want to hit auto, I could. If I want to keep on repeating as I put the pan down. But I'm just going to hit start. I only need one of these. And just over through by 0.02, past our target. Let's do that again. Once again, this is where you can kind of tweak it out as you go. And what's nice about this is it saves your settings as you go. You don't have to keep on resetting this. If you go to Varget, drop some Varget, go back to CFE, these settings are set for just CFE. And once again, 6.7 seconds. So I'm going to drop this. And my final follower shot here. And we are done. Now, let me clip you out of here. And I'm going to show you my settings and how you can tweak this out. If you don't want it so fast, say like you want more consistency rather than speed, you can go into the profile of this. You can see at the very top here, it says CFE223. And I'm going to put my pan back on here so it zeroes out. and it shows a target range of 0.02 plus or negative past 30.6. And I can go into profile, and to the right here in orange, you're going to see it says bulk, fine, slow, and pulse. Personally, I don't like to use the slow. I like to use 3. If you want it more accurate, you can kick in the slow, have 4 steps. If you want to tweak around this yourself, you don't have to use your own settings. This does have what's called AI, and I do have a video in my playlist. If you go to my channel, the playlist section, I have a pretty extensive list showing everything from unboxing to dropping H4350 to dropping Varget. This, I kind of go over that artificial intelligence, also dropping CFE223, and also how to update the firmware. And they're constantly coming out with new firmware right now, especially now they just came out with this Supertrickler. People are just starting to get them. But once again, I can set my tolerance. Even though the FX120i has a resolution of 0.02 plus or minus, I can set the tolerance. And that might be a good thing to do if you have powder, really large stick powder, that weighs more than 0.02 grains, the actual resolution of this scale. Say like your individual kernels are more like 0.03 grains per literal speck of powder, you might actually want to boost this up to 0.03. Otherwise, you're constantly going to get error readings, and that's why they give this to you. You can also set your tolerance offset if you don't want it plus or minus, or say like you want to purposely drop below and manually trickle off your powder. You can do that. I don't know why you would. But you can see on the right here in orange, it kind of shows how this drops. It drops in bulk, fine, and pulse. If I want, I can add this slow. You can see I just got it turned off, but if I want to make it even more accurate, if sacrificing a little time, you can do that. But the bulk, you can see I got the speed set at 100. Keep in mind, this is CFE223 settings. The in-flight time of 10.75 grains. Now, this in-flight time can be a little confusing at first, especially when you first get the Supertrickler. This is the amount of powder that is exiting the main lower tube, the rotational tube, almost looks like a cement mixer. The amount of powder exiting that tube and is about to enter the pan in flight. That's literally what it means. The ramp up time, how fast this will ramp up. You don't want it to ramp up too quick. You don't want this to snap right into place right away. You want it to slowly ramp up to full speed of 100%. You don't want it so slow that it takes forever to ramp up. Stabilization time, so you give the computer a time to read that measurement, and the motor current. You know, obviously the more current, the faster that motor is going to run. So with fine, you can see at the top here, I have the speed set to high. I have the low speed set to 8%, the ramp down set to 2.2. It's going to start ramping down 2.2 before my target weight, and then also an in-flight of 0.5, much smaller, the stabilization time of 1000. And I can actually test this. You can actually, if I want, I can test my individual vibrating tube at the top. Keep in mind the bulk setting uses the large, what I call the cement mixer tube on the bottom, and everything else, fine, slow, pulsed, uses the vibrating tube at the top. And you got to keep in mind, before you do anything with the bulk, fine, and pulse, you definitely want to go into your powder, and you want to set up your vibration speed. First and foremost, before you do anything, drop powder, play with your settings, you want to play around with the vibrator speed of that preset of CFE223. I can't stress that enough, how important that is. You want to set this vibration speed before you do anything. And what you can do is hit start, and you want that powder to come out on the low end, on the minimum speed, so it's just starting to come out of the tube, but you know, obviously you don't want it so slow it's not coming out of the tube. You got to play around with this. And on the high speed, you want it to come out as fast as possible, but not so fast that it's coming out of the pan. And you have to individually play with this setting with your particular Supertrickler. And the reason why is these vibration tubes have a tendency to be a little different across the spectrum. If you got, say, 100 Supertricklers, they're not going to be all exactly the same on the vibration tube. They might have, you know, a little bit of difference between them because the motor that's attached to this could be a little bit off. You need to set this particular setting for not only your particular Supertrickler, but for that particular powder. I can't stress that enough how important that is. So you can test this in advance. So to go, once you get that set, then you can start dropping powder. And if, like I said, if you want, I can go into self-learning and enable the artificial intelligence, and it'll just do all that work for you. And not to get too far into the rabbit hole right now, because this would be, no joke, a 40-minute video. But I kind of have that in this video here. The Supertrickler unedited artificial intelligence mode and quick custom settings using AI. You can actually use the AI feature to get you close. It's actually quite reasonable. And it will adjust as it goes and it learns. And initially it will overthrow and it'll learn and it'll get better. And it'll drop another one and overthrow and it'll learn and get better. Eventually you'll start leveling out and it'll do a balance of speed and consistency. And what I like to do at that point is switch that AI off and tweak out your own personal settings if you want the most success out of your Supertrickler. But right now I have that turned off. So initially bulk, that shows the bulk amount of powder. The next part would be the fine, and then the pulse. And now the pulse at the very end is literally what it means. It literally pulses. It pulse, 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 pulse. Minute amount of powder. And you can test that also. And not to get too deep in this, and I would highly suggest watching this video. I'll kind of go into that in detail, but I can also test that. So I don't know if you can make that out, but you can see on the low end, it's just barely coming out. And it's pulsing. And I don't know if you can pick this up on my microphone, but it's pulse, 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 pulse. It's a really minute amount of powder at the very end. And that's what's nice, especially if you like to tinker and you want to get this honed down just perfect. This is definitely going to be the trickler for you. But let me show you how to empty this thing. I think I pretty much went over most of the basics, and there's more to come. I have yet to do my review on this, but so far I'm pretty satisfied with it, especially when you can set up your ladders like that and make it super easy. It's just one less thing in the reloader room to do. Yeah, let's get this dropped out of here. I'm going to try my best to do this with a camera in front of me. Now, I suggest getting a funnel for the top. I'm one of the beta testers, so mine didn't come with a funnel. But apparently the ones being shipped right now are coming with a funnel and also a brush. You're definitely going to want some type of artist brush like this. Now, keep in mind, what's nice about this, the fact that this pan zeroes out every time you set the pan down. If you happen to get a little bit of powder underneath this or on the pan itself, it zeroes out. So it doesn't really matter. You don't have to be so anal about cleaning it up. I mean, remember, it zeroes out every time you put the pan. A little speck of powder gets underneath this and is on the main scale itself. It's going to zero out. Who cares? I mean, yeah, leave the powder there, and when you're done, clean it up. Once again, if you want to use two pans, they don't have to weigh exactly the same. It's going to zero out every time you put down the pan. So, you know, this hole at the top, and I've talked to Rex about this, about possibly making this bigger, and I hope he does. It'd actually be kind of nice if they actually made this concave. So it's a built-in funnel, but I'm sure it has a lot of manufacturing cost to it rather than a flat top with a hole. this hole is a little under 2¼ inches deep. So what I did is I just went to my local hardware, or I actually got this from Menards. This is less than $3, and but it makes this nice. I don't have to be so conscious about throwing that powder back in the hole at the top. But yeah, let me show you how to empty this quick. And it's really, really simple. I'll try my best to get this on camera for you guys, especially during a live event. Once again, always have your safety glasses on while you're dropping powder. So I'm going to get this set off to the side. I'm going to hand this over to you, Scott, so we don't drop the powder out of these casings. Open up my jug of powder here. So what you do is when you pick this up, you want to lean this back. I'm going to try my best to not hit my microphone here. So you're going to pick this up, lean it back. Obviously, you don't want to lean it forward. You're going to have powder all over the joint. And what I do is I kind of cuddle this like a football. And at the very bottom, Scott, does that show up at all at the bottom here?
The black part of it?
Yeah, this little valve here.
Yep.
So there's a little finger inset here. And I'm going to get this. Once I slide this over, there's a hole right here. I'm trying my best to show you guys while I'm live. But I'm going to get this over my jug, and I'm going to slide this out, and this will drop right in to the jug like that. So once that empties, you kind of see a better view of this now that I got it completely emptied of powder. What I usually like to do is grab my brush. Sorry, I got a camera in front of me and try my best to do this. And I will literally insert it into this, what I call the cement mixer on the bottom with my brush. Usually take the fine tip end and obviously not try to damage your vibrating tube on the top. And what I'll do is I'll put this back on the FX120i, take my pan, I'll zero this out. I'll go into menu and I'll prime the tubes again. If I was to drop powder in here, you got to prime the tubes at first, but I also use this prime the tubes to empty it. And it literally will run the bottom rotational trickler and the vibrating trickler on the top. Kind of just, if there's any powder kind of left in there, it will drop into here, which I highly doubt there's going to be any, and there isn't. But I'm also going to take my brush at the top. You see that? So I'm going to take my brush on the top here, make sure there's no powder left inside, pick this back up, and then do this once again. There was a little bit of powder that did come out, and just like that, you're done emptying your powder. It's about as easy as it gets. Sorry, got a camera in front of me. And that's it. It just emptied the powder, and I can put in a whole different powder and go from there. So let me check out the boards here. I've been blabbering for quite a bit. Let me catch up on some of your comments. If you got any comments, make yourself known. I'll try my best to answer your questions. And I'm gonna get some water. I'm a pretty good loudmouth, aren't I?
Yeah, you like the blabber.
So Michael Hartney is saying, how much is it? And like I said, pretty easy to figure out. Just jump on Google and Google Supertrickler. I'll do that for you guys right now. If I can get connection with my Bluetooth keyboard. Come on. And if you are on Facebook, I highly recommend joining that closed group, Supertrickler. There's a wealth of information here. But let me quick clip you out of here. So it's that one right there. Supertrickler.com/AU. Now, this was sent to me for T&E purposes. Keep that in mind. I did not pay for this. I've been diligently testing this between H4350 and Bargain. And a little bit of CFE223 like you just witnessed. So the unit itself, if you happen to have the FX120i already, looks like it's $675. Looks like they do have a pre-order, but they're already sending them out, to be honest with you. I know Rex and Peter, they're pretty diligent about getting these made as soon as possible. And I talked to two guys that are so easy to get along with. I've been talking to them for about, it seems like a half a year now, about becoming a beta tester for them. But they do sell the Supertrickler with an FX120i bundle for $1375. They both have the same deposit. So they're shipping them out right now. Matter of fact, in that closed group, let me see if I can find that here. Get your clip back into my tripod. Oh, let's see here. Supertrickler. Like I said, if you're on Facebook, 100% join this group. If you got any questions, they will be answered damn near immediately, just not only from Rex and Peter, but there's a ton of people on here already. And I think I've seen a couple people saying that they got theirs. Here's one guy. He says, I must say the wait is well worth it. Good old Matthew Clark here. It took me about 30 minutes to set up. Very good setup instructions. The favorite part about the Supertrickler is the ladder test mode, like we just shown you guys. And he says, wow, and 100%. I mean, does it ever make it easy? And I'm not going to lie, it can be overwhelming when you first get it. And then it can take time to get this tricked out if you do want to play around the settings, or you can just let AI do its thing. It's like Brian Bell here got his. He's saying fast shipping and even quicker charges loaded. Got my Trickler and I love it. Thanks for an awesome product. You can see he's got AI enabled. See this little scholar hat? That means he's got AI enabled, and it's doing all the hard work for him. It's making the adjustments as he goes. And yeah, 100% make sure you're checking out that Facebook page. Wealth of information there. It's awesome. You can check out some of your other comments here. Otherwise, I'm probably going to shut this down. Make your comments known. I can find my chat box here. So hopefully that answers your question. So Tim saying, put a deposit on. I can't wait for it. Thanks for them for sharing. He's like, Michael Dunn saying, I like the green and red lights. It is nice. It does make it, you know, quick and easy. There's actually a blue light there too while it's waiting. And then Romeo 66 just showing you how to empty it. So hopefully that helps you out. My mouse is not working today. So D-Dub D37 saying, good evening, man. That powder trickler looks awesome. My Hornady auto charge will go to 0.2 over, then bounce back to the charge and say, okay. I toss those back. The scale tries to give you the correct charge. So Richie's saying, Todd is really stepping up his reloading game. Can we expect ragged hole groups now? Ask for a friend. I don't know. That's really up to Scott. These are his reloads. These aren't mine. So, yeah. If he takes some pictures or some video, I'll see if we can get them posted on Elfster's Rifles Reloading. And some of you guys aren't familiar with Scott. This is my business partner, Scott Peterson with EP Integrations. I think some of you guys know that, but if you don't, obviously, we own EP Integrations. We started about 1.5 years ago. January. Yeah. And we not only make these lockdown reloading blocks that are fully adjustable from just under 223 to a little over 375 Chi-Tac and adjust in literally a second. But we also make the EP Integrations EP 2.0 annealer that can anneal anything from 17 Hornet to 50 BMG. Is fully adjustable without having to add or remove any parts for $268. And our standard lockdown block is $99. And it's ready to anneal right out of the box. It comes with everything other than the propane tank. It comes with the torch head, the pan, the tank holder, the power supply, even a free koozie. Even our lockdown blocks come with a free koozie. So definitely make sure you're checking out our website, www.epintegrations.com. Check out our products here too. So Michael Dunn saying it sure is a smart trickler. What a great machine. And what else we got here? Try and fly through your comments here. Otherwise, I'm going to shut this down. So if you got any questions or comments, make yourself be known. So Romeo 66 saying, how much was your Charge Master off? Usually, did you compare to the super? You said Supercharger, but I'm sure you meant Supertrickler. So the Charge Master definitely doesn't have the resolution of the FX120i scale. I mean, I suppose I could compare it, but you're comparing apples to oranges. Really, if I truly wanted to test it, I need something more like a Sartorius that has even more resolution past 0.02 grains plus or minus. To be honest with you, I'm not really concerned about that whatsoever, especially with a lot of the powders that I'm dropping, especially like H4350, are pushing the resolution of the scale itself of 0.02 grains. You know, some of these stick powders are even well over that, and you know, pushing 0.04 grains, and that's where adjusting the trickler for that particular powder that you're dropping is very important. And like I said, it saves, it will, let me show that to you too while I'm talking about that, is, so say like I'm going to start here with a whole new powder and profile, a menu. I'm going to select the powder and I'm going to select damn near every powder known to man. They already got most of it entered in for you. You know, whether you pick your brand names here, I'll kind of scroll through some of these. So I'll kind of go slow so you can kind of read them. So 3 total pages. So I say like I pick this one, you know, 8208 XBR benchmark, CFE223, you name it, even pistol powders. The good old mighty Varget's probably right at the very end. It's got them all in there, so you don't have to enter those names. But say like I do pick Varget, if you want to turn on that AI mode, so hit select, close, start. You can see now it says Varget at the top. And if I don't want to screw around with the settings, I just want to get in and go to profile, self-learning, and enable it. And it will just adjust all those settings for you. And I actually suggest doing that when you first start a powder to get you close to the settings. And then once you feel that AI has got you remotely close to where you want to be, then turn off AI and then tweak out your bulk fine. If you want slow, I personally have it shut off and pulse. Like I said, the options and selections and buttons to click on this thing is literally endless. And at first, it's going to be overwhelming. I'm not going to lie, it was overwhelming for me at first. But once you kind of understand its method to its madness, you fly right through it. So, let's see here. Michael Dunn saying, I would put a funnel over that jug. I suppose you could. Yeah. So Mike Craft saying, what about powders like H1000? I personally don't reload with H1000. I do have a friend that does. But I don't see any reason at all that this won't drop anything that you put into it. And I'm pretty sure I end up sending my Auto Trickler V3 eventually. I have it just sitting on the shelf over there. So Michael Dunn saying, tomorrow is my birthday, and I'm hoping to get enough cash for an annealer. That's awesome. Michael Dunn, matter of fact, why don't you send us an email before you place your order, and we can chat a little bit. So I know you've been a big follower of the channel for a long time, and I definitely appreciate everything you do in following my channel. So Dino saying, order up, folks. Christmas is coming right around the corner, and definitely they're just taking orders now in the Supertrickler, and obviously with our products, with the EP223 annealer and the lockdown block. Some fantastic products to put underneath that Christmas tree. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm just gonna kind of just quickly skim over this. I know the YT gets pretty sensitive about showing freedom sticks. What do you think so far, man?
Trickler's awesome. It was fun to see that ladder mode.
Yeah, it makes it easy, doesn't it?
Way easier than the last time we did this. And
yeah,
put that in every time.
Yeah, and I think, you know, don't get me wrong, the Auto Trickler V3, especially for its time, was cutting edge. You know, obviously the V4 is out too, and I personally have never owned the V4, so I can't speak for it. But at least for this, go from the V3 to the Supertrickler, I'm actually really happy with it so far, and I'm sure that's going to stay on my bench. And you've had quite the experience with the V3 Auto Trickler up there before.
Yeah, we did some reloads when I was first learning how to do it.
Yeah, and it was all about, hey, I want to go to a different charge weight, so I got to screw around with the plunger and screw off the plunger and then weigh it and make sure it drops a certain amount below your targeted drop rate. And then you kind of got to play around with the angle and how level the trickler is. And once I had the V3 set up, it was really quick, wasn't it? It was pretty quick. But the fact that this has everything in one package, especially not a separate hopper with a trickler, two things to empty out. You're only emptying one thing out here. You don't have to screw on that plunger anymore with the V3. And I know a lot of people still kind of use the V3 because they like how fast it is, but I think just showing you here live, and I want to do that live for you guys, literally drops within, I mean, heck, we had the one that was under 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But I think on average, it was roughly, I would say roughly 3 to 4 to roughly 7 to 8 seconds. I don't think we really see anything over 9 or 10 seconds. And that's what's reading off the screen, zeroing out the pan out of the gate. Other than that, I think that's it. I'm going to shut this down and double check some of your comments. Otherwise, we're going to end this live stream. So if you've got any questions, make yourself be known. So D37 saying, I got your annealer from the Reloading podcast discount, but need to pick up some tanks. And yeah, they're pretty inexpensive. I think those tanks are only going for like, I think $5-6.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, and we're gonna hand that package over to that hose. Highly suggest, if you get our annealer with the tanks, is get a refill kit. You can buy, you can get a 20-pound tank on a refill for less than $20, at least in Wisconsin. And you can refill up those blue tanks using a refill kit. I got this off Amazon for less than $25. You can get a heck of a lot of refills off of a 20-pound tank for that annealer, and it's just endless. So Mike Cressing, can you show how it's connected to the scale? Sure. So on the back here, there is a long cable, and you can actually see the old cable here from the Auto Trickler. I just unplugged it. But you can see a very long cable. And when they first started, I actually talked to Rex about this. I'm like, man, you got to get a long cable on here for dumping that powder. And that's exactly what he did. And he's been listening to those people in that closed group on Supertrickler on Facebook. And he's making this long enough so you can pick that unit up and dump out that powder. And you can see on the back here is where the power inserts comes into the Supertrickler itself. And you can see this cable here is going to Supertrickler, but he's got another port here. And if you check out that, I'm not dropping any new information here. It's on the Supertrickler closed group. He actually has a machine, and I'm not exaggerating. I don't know if he's ever going to come to fruition on this, but he has a machine that will literally, I don't know if he's got this working or he plans on making it working. He has a demo prototype of it where it literally picks up the cup out of the Supertrickler like a machine and brings it out and dumps it into the casing. Like he's got an array of reloading trays full of empty cases, and he's giving you an example of how it's going to pull that out and drop it. I mean, you're literally just going to sit here and watch the machine drop powder for you, the casing. I mean, if he ever gets that going, and I don't know how expensive that would be, but it would be pretty phenomenal. I don't know if I can find it here on the Facebook page or not. I think it was really old. I think I'd be searching forever trying to find that. I mean, I'm not dropping any new news here. It's in here somewhere on the Facebook closed group. Let me start going to the videos here, see if I can hunt that down. I don't know. Media, videos. It's pretty cool to listen to him talk about it. I don't know if I can find it here or not. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I don't know if this is it or not.
Again, we have emptied without.
But you can kind of see the progression of the Supertrickler here actually in his videos.
And you can now lift it off.
I don't know. I'm not sure where that video is. It's in there somewhere. If you join the closed group, he's got a video in there showing this machine that, I don't know, they might potentially come out with it or not. I'm not sure. But it's pretty crazy if they do come out with that. That'd be quite amazing. So, Tim Clark saying, do you want to sell your V3? That's awesome. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to bring up, Scott, while we're at it? I think that's about it, huh?
No. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us live here. Like I said, this is a demo. This is a test product with beta firmware, and I'm still kind of testing and tweaking this out as we go, but kind of give you a realistic idea, at least with CFE223 with my own personal settings, and I'm sure I got to tweak those out a little bit more myself. And like I said, you can just let AI do its thing and do the heavy lifting for you. But we'll see you guys in the next video.